All right, so we are live.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Today we are talking to, do you want us to call you Gabrielle? Do you want us to go by your pen name? Gabrielle. Okay,
Gabrielle
awesome.
is fine. Thank you.
Well, welcome, Gabrielle. We are so excited to chat with you. You are a USA Today bestselling author and award-winning author and all sorts of other stuff, huh?
I don't think I'm a USA Today bestselling author, but I have been a bestselling author on other, in various ways. Like I'm a Canadian. I was a Canadian bestseller for 2017, I think. For the whole year, I was one of the top 10 bestselling children and young adult authors.
Wow.
And I've been an Amazon bestseller. But I don't think I've hit the USA Today list, and I haven't hit the New York Times bestseller list. But that's one of my goals in life.
Yeah,
that's important to have goals.
Yeah,
important to have goals. I love that. So we were wondering if we could ask you a couple questions about what it's like from the perspective of an author, especially one who has as many accolades as you do, and you have some amazing accolades, and we're excited about that. So do you mind if we ask you a couple questions about what life is like from your perspective?
Sure.
So a lot of our viewers are aspiring writers and authors, and I'm sure that they would love to know, as they're dreaming about what life will be like when they make it, what's your favorite part about where you are in your publishing journey and process, and just where you are in that whole lifestyle?
I really love interacting with readers, actually. And, a lot of my readers are aspiring writers too. So it's always kind of fun, if they contact me and say, I really liked your book and I'm writing my own book. And so that's fun. But my favorite part is fan mail. I like the fan mail. I like it when people like my books. That's why I write them. So, so people will enjoy them. And my favorite fan is somebody who is sort of transformed in some way by one of my books. And, my books aren't super philosophical or anything. Like, they're kind of just fun books to read. So when a reader is transformed by one of my books, it's usually because something has changed in the way they've experienced a book. Mm-hmm. So I quite often I will get fan mail that says, this is the first book I've read in years, or this is the first book that I've binge read. I read the whole thing in a day. I've never done that before. Or I haven't enjoyed a book this much since I read Twilight, which I just think is great. So that's literally the person that I wrote this book for.
Yeah.
My last book, that's who I wrote it for, was somebody who just wants to just be like, oh, this book's just captivated me. So I love to hear that. And, occasionally I get fan mail that says, I really respond to this character and I really relate to this character. And I feel like I've never seen a character like this in the book before. And, this character represents me. And I think most writers get that, especially writers who are writing, writers from diverse cultures and things like that. They certainly get it a lot. And I think that's fantastic. Some, the ones that I get tend to be a bit more specific, right? Because there's obviously a lot of books about white girls. But like with my first YA series, Audacious, the girl is very much based on me, and she's, pretty weird and kind of a rebel and, just an outsider, but sort of revels in that. And I had a girl come up to me at a book signing once, and she said, she's holding the book and she was like, she's me. And I was like, me too. And that was really cool. And, and then I write a diversity of characters. So the main character in Zero Repeat Forever and Cold Falling White is biracial, Black Canadian. And so I've had people say, I've never read a biracial Canadian girl before. And I'm like, well, this one's your first, but there's others, go for it. So that's great. I like to get that feedback a lot.
I can imagine. That's incredible. And it's so awesome that you create that space for people and that you're so approachable and so fun. Like you are quintessential high vibe storytelling. We are so excited to have you as part of our High Vibe Summit this week.
I've never been called high vibe before, but I definitely relate to that.
Awesome.
I sometimes talk about how, my brain is like a slightly higher rotations per minute than most people. So high vibe, it fits for sure.
Yeah.
And the way that the way that you get excited that your stories can transform people, that's the whole concept of being a high vibe storyteller at its core, is like writing stories that actually help people and benefit people's lives, even though they're just a story, air quotes, absolutely awesome. Is there a particular piece of advice that you wish that someone would have given you at the start of your journey, or that you could give people now at the start of their writing journeys?
I really, I wasn't really encouraged to be a writer, which is weird because I come from a fairly literary family. My father was a professor of theater studies and my mother is a retired librarian. But they were like, I'm not quite old enough to be a boomer, so I'm basically Gen X, and this is pretty much true of all Gen X. Like, we were just left to our own devices. And so I didn't get a ton of encouragement. What I tell my child, who's a teenager, and also other young writers, and not just young writers, but young creatives in general, which is that, like, really don't let anybody tell you that having a career in the creative industries is 1 in a million. Because that was kind of the message that I got as a kid. Oh, well, that's a pipe dream. That's 1 in a million. That's just people just get lucky, or they know somebody, their dad is whatever. And that's actually not true. If you want a career in a creative industry, then it's easier to get a job in publishing than it is to become a doctor. And you would never tell, and I actually think it's easier to get a book published than it is to become a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, you would never tell somebody, oh, you can't be a doctor. That's a pipe dream. That's a 1 in a Nobody would ever say that. They would just say, do your work and study hard and you can be a doctor. And that's true. But if you do your work and you study hard and you work hard and you are persistent, you can also certainly get a job in publishing, or music, or theater, or film, or any of the arts. And beyond that, I think you can actually get the ultimate job, which is a kind of a joke. That's that, when you're inside and you realistically know what it's like to be a published author. But you can get a job, you can publish a book. If you can get a medical degree, you can publish a book for sure. Mm-hmm. If that's what you think you can do and you have some inclination towards it. I do think a lot of people think, oh, I want to be an author, and they don't really have anything to say or any ideas. They just maybe think that authors are like, champagne and sailing around on yachts or something, and it's not. So I wish that somebody had told me that. That's the advice, is that if you want to be an author, that's not an unreasonable goal to have or fantastical at all. Just, there are steps and you take them and and it happens. And that's really the truth. It's not mystical or romantic or fantastical at all. It's pretty normal.
Yeah. Now more than ever, because there's so many different avenues to become a published author through that, even 10 years ago, there wasn't.
Exactly. And you just have to stick at it. I think some people write their first book and then they send it out and they get 10 rejections and they're just like, well, forget it. I'm like, girl, get back to me when you've had like 500 rejections. Then we'll talk.
I feel that so intimately.
I love seeing the quote about J.K. Rowling received 36 rejections before she was published.
I know, that always cracks me up. I go, 36? Oh, wow. God.
I don't think I even count mine anymore. They just go into the oblivion. I just don't.
You're an author when you stop.
No, I don't count them. I have a whole, I go way back, right? So I have ones that were sent to me in the mail. I have a whole fat file of them. Sometimes I take them out. There's actually a picture on my website where I took them out and I spread them out on the floor. And of course, the ones that are printed is only about 5% of all my rejections. So, and that was enough to cover my whole office floor.
Wow.
So yeah. And I still get them. I'm a published author. I still get rejections. My agent is shopping a middle grade for me right now, and it's not going that great. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's
Great.
right.
The
2021 is a new year.
Yeah.
2020 was not a good year to try to do anything really.
Yeah.
Wait till March. The energy changes in March, like deeply.
I think the energy
astrologically and energetically.
The energy is going to change a lot in 2 days.
I know. That is very true. That is very true.
But speaking of like energy shifts, as the resident astrologer, mid-May through the end of July is going to be really good energy. So if anybody's planning anything, those are the good times. March is really cool in the beginning because all the planets are direct, and we have a couple more days of that similar situation right now, but there's harsh aspects happening at the same time. In the beginning of March, everything's direct. Nobody's attacking each other in the planetary aspects, and should be pretty nice there too.
Okay, so May to July.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because a certain author who may or may not be me might be pitching to a certain network that may or may not be Netflix with regards to a certain book series that may or may not be
yours.
Well,
we'll see. That's my plan anyway.
I have hopes for you and believe that author for the best. That is amazing.
Whoever that author is,
whoever that author is.
Yeah, whoever that.
All the good vibes to that author.
Thanks.
Awesome.
So one final question to sort of wrap up this pre-interview, and everybody who is seeing this either live or afterwards, we are going to be having Gabrielle as a guest at our High Vibe Storyteller Summit on, I don't know why I'm looking over here when my camera's over here, on Friday, this Friday at noon here on our YouTube channel. That's 12 p.m. Eastern time. We have so many amazing guests, including Gabrielle. We are so excited to share it with you. So to wrap up this pre-interview, just a taste of the amazing things that you can expect in the summit, Gabrielle, could you please tell us what you are most passionate about sharing in your author platform? Your favorite thing to be asked about.
Yeah, well, the thing that I'm going to talk about is, because the question I think is how to be a successful author. And I have a checklist. And I whenever I teach, I always do, if I'm teaching a longer workshop where I really get into details, I almost always start with this checklist. And it cracks people up because the first checklist is the things that you need to be a successful author. And everybody expects number one to be talent. And on my list, number one is courage. And so that's kind of where I go from there. It's like the very first thing that you need is courage. I used to teach screenwriting workshops, and I would start the workshop by saying, well, look, this is a workshop. So we're going to be writing in this workshop, and you need to share your work with your classmates. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you need to leave. And they would just be like shocked. But like I'm, especially with screenwriting, which is so collaborative. I was like, you can't do this if you're not ready to share your work with other people, then you're not ready for this workshop. You can go to another workshop, which is, like about writing the soul and all this kind of stuff. That's great. Don't get me wrong. But I'm very geared towards the profession of writing, and the profession of writing is about being brave. And, you need the courage even before that. You need the courage to write and read what you've written and think that it's crap and just go, okay. And then you just write more, and you just keep doing that until it's not crap anymore. And if you can't get past your own bad writing, so the first thing you need to develop is courage. So that's kind of what my workshop or my talks are usually, that's how they start. So that's what I'm going to talk about on the 22nd.
That's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. We look forward to Friday. Again, for everybody watching, that's Friday starting at 12 p.m., going until about 5:30. And it ends with a pitch fest for the Forgotten Storytellers program. There's more information with that on our mailing list. When you get your ticket, you'll get all the information. It's a free broadcast. We can't wait to see you there. Gabrielle, thank you so much for spending this time with us. And we'll go ahead and wrap up this live and see you all on Friday.
Bye.